Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Unquiet Mind Podcast. I am your host, Dawn Morgan. And yes, I've taken a pretty long hiatus, but I'm back. And as you can see, I'm back with a wonderful MSer, fellow Lifebulb ambassador, along with myself and patient advocate, Julie Stamm. How are you, Julie?
Hi, I'm good. How are you? I'm so happy that we get to do this. I love talking to you.
I love talking to you too. I was telling my friend last night, I said, I'm recording with my friend Julie tomorrow. And I said, she probably has to be one of the nicest human beings I've ever met in my life. No, I meant that.
Thanks.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, thank you. I really appreciate it because it's hard. Like when I raised with Jack, that's what I really care about him being. It's just kind and like inclusive to at school, if there's a kid alone, like go up to them. So when someone calls me kind, it really makes me happy.
Yeah. Yeah. No, you are. It just like emanates from you. And so, yeah. And he's from Brooklyn too. So he's like, yeah, she's from Brooklyn, of course.
Yeah,
So.
I know. Yeah. It's funny because like with MS, you forget so much. I have so many cognitive issues, but I go back and look through like yearbooks what people would write. And I'm like, oh, I like that girl. I like what they wrote. I'm like, okay, cool. Like,
Yeah.
at least I hold true throughout the years. Cause I'm like, was I a nice person? Or
Yeah.
I don't even remember high school. I don't know if I was drunk, high, or just MS not reminding me.
Right. So Julie, can you just like briefly share, because I want to go into all things Julie in a moment and then get into another, semi-deep, quasi-deep conversation with you. But can you share a little bit about yourself and like what year you were diagnosed and, things like that?
Yeah, I was diagnosed in 2007 and it took a really long time because it started in 2001. So it was just like a lot of back and forth with doctors and trying to figure out what's going on with my body and just deteriorating and getting dismissed and deteriorating. So when I was diagnosed, I was really relieved. I was happy to have an answer and just be like, okay, so now I know what I have to do. I have to do something.
Yeah.
Because not knowing is hard. Like you just speculate, where is this going to go? How far, like how deep am I going to get into this without knowing and having no hope for any kind of treatment. So now I feel like I'm on a good treatment plan. I just was in the stem cell trial in New York and I'm really happy I did that.
Yeah.
And I finally am on, not finally, well, so the past 5 years, I'm on a drug that's kept me stable. So that's really comforting. And I hope that lasts until we get a cure. And then,
Yeah.
I'm really hopeful. And I think they're unveiling more about it. And the more they find out, the closer we get. So I'm hoping that eventually within my lifetime, we'll have a cure.
I hope so. Okay. So
In our
wait,
lifetime, yeah.
you are on a DMT, disease modifying therapy, and you did the stem cell.
I wasn't able to
Oh.
stop or make any changes to my treatment. So
Really?
I'm on Rituxan. Yeah, I'm on Rituxan and I wouldn't have stopped it. I wouldn't have risked it.
Yeah.
But you had to have a certain level of disease on the EDSS scale, and you had to have a certain level of decline, and you had to have progressive MS. So there was like a very specific, you couldn't have had it for longer than 15 years. And I had just hit it was 3 years ago that it started. So I was so lucky that I got in. And I'm grateful every day that I did it. And I wouldn't say that it's like, oh my gosh, this has made me perfect, because I'm not even close. I still have MS. I still have the weakness. I still have all the issues, but I hope that I don't deteriorate. I hope I stay stable. And I think my walking looks a little better.
Yeah. Yeah. That's fantastic. I didn't do a stem cell, but so I was on, my first medication was Avonex, then Copaxone, then Tisabri. Tisabri did not work. Well, none of them really worked,
Yeah.
I wasn't really compliant with Avonex anyway, but the last one was Limtrada, and I was terrified because there's so much. There's like a strong protocol with Limtrada, and you have to do this, you have to do that, you have to take pre-meds for this or whatever. And there's year 1, year 2, and if I would have been given the option of stem cell, I probably would have done that. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, my walking has improved. Like one day I woke up, I didn't need my cane, I didn't need the
That's
walker, I didn't need the
amazing.
wheelchair. It was crazy. And I
Yeah.
don't know what to attribute that to, the therapy or just like my I don't know, my positive attitude. I don't know.
I know it's so hard to know with this disease. It's like, like my spasms were out of control last night. And I'm like, is it because I walked too much? Like, you try and figure out what's going on. And it's hard because like, even though we know that we're on treatments to like prevent us from getting worse, we still in the back of our minds are just waiting for like something to be abruptly taken from us. Just
Yes.
waiting.
Yes. Oh my God. I'm so glad you said that, because every day it's a reminder of like the uncertainty of this crappy disease,
Every day, every single day, I'm just like, oh, is this going to be permanent? Is this MS? Is that what's going on? And as we get older, I'm 42. So I'm like, as you get older, things are going anyway.
Yeah.
But, like my vision, I have optic neuritis in my right, but then like my left eye, I'm like, that's a little blurry. Is it because I'm not wearing glasses? Do I need glasses? Or is this optic neuritis in my left eye? Like just constantly worrying. And I think that's something that we MSers do that we shouldn't do, is attribute everything to MS, because it's not always, like I had appendicitis, and because MS like reduces my sensations, I was like, I don't feel great, but it wasn't anything horrible to me. And then at like midnight, I was like, this really doesn't feel right. So I went to the emergency room because I was like, something's wrong. And they, if I didn't go then, because all my organs were backing up because I wasn't listening, because I was just like, oh, it's probably just some, so I think always listen to your body. Like even if it feels minor, it's hard to know because we don't have the same sensations as other people.
That's right. Absolutely. I know it's hard and it's easy to ignore, like
so easy. And we're just like, oh yeah, our legs are cramping and it feels terrible, but this is MS, we just attribute everything.
Right. It's like we have this invisible scale, like, is the pain really, like, is it a 1 or is it a 10 or is it MS or I don't know, like which one are we doing here, so yeah.
It's so hard to navigate.
So hard. But I wanted to talk to you because you have been doing some great things, and I highly recommend everyone go out and purchase your book. I bought your book.
Thanks.
And it's called Some Days. I'm putting it up for everybody to see it. Some Days. Can't read backwards. A Tale of Love, Ice Cream, and My Mom's Chronic Illness. Julie Stamm, and it's illustrated by Shamisa Kellogg. I love that name. So yeah, this book is, I don't know, Julie, I love it. Like that's all I can say, because you take the humor, if you want to find humor in MS, but you take the humor in MS and make it like palatable for a child, and even for the adult who has MS. Like when you talked about like going out looking for the potty, and it's like a potty gate, like
the potty. We still play it.
And I love it. And I'm like, this is so great. The first person to find the restroom gets a prize. And it's like, this is me and my son in the grocery store. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I have to go to the restroom.
Where is it? Yeah. Always looking.
Always,
Always.
And then it's so funny because people will say, and even my son has said, didn't you just go before we left the house? And it's like, yeah, but it just comes out of nowhere.
Doesn't matter. It's our brains. We don't know when it's gonna. It's one of the, never walk by a bathroom.
Right. Yeah.
If you see it, use it.
That's right. And like, what inspired you to, write this book? Because it's just so heartfelt. I love it. Really.
I don't really think that I wrote it. I think my son did. Because I really don't. So I wrote him letters since he was born, things that I want to remember, because I do worry about cognitive issues, like first words, first steps, all the important things, but also like the days that really sucked for me, the days that my legs didn't work. And these were like, I'm going to cry myself to sleep because I'm a horrible mom and I shouldn't be doing this.
Yeah.
And so I decided to talk to my son about them. And he was like, you mean train day? And I'm like, what? So he saw those horrible days completely different. The day that he missed a party and I had to make him a ball pit in the bathtub because I had so much guilt about him missing that one birthday party. But we've had hundreds of experiences because of that one day that have just been beautiful. So I think he really wrote the book because it's down to us having conversations. And I think it's important for every parent to talk to their kids, but especially when you have guilt, because they don't, I talk every day. We do good part, bad part, crazy part. of the day. And I inevitably put it on the wrong thing. So I'll be like, oh, I bet his favorite part was ice cream. And he'll be like, no, when we walked up the hill. And I'm like, that was the best part, like,
Yeah.
so I think it's important because like we always project what we think they're feeling onto them, and they're not always feeling that. So it's just really important to talk to your son or daughter and child and
Yeah.
just get insight from them, because they're so much kinder and more forgiving than we are to ourselves.
So much. Gosh, I love that you're saying this. I'm like, I'm soaking it all in because the guilt that I feel it's incredible.
Incredible.
I mean,
Yeah.
full transparency. I had a lovely home, beautiful home. And I may have mentioned this before to you and probably to other MSers, but I was working full time and had an exacerbation, and it was like really bad. Long story short, the doctor's like, okay, Tesabri's not working for you. Let's try Limtrada. I was like, okay. And so, like I said a few minutes ago, there was like a big protocol with Limtrada. So like my parents,
Yeah.
I'm divorced, I'm not married. And, I needed some extra help. So my parents stepped in to like help me. And at this time, my son was in kindergarten. So I like really needed the extra help, extra
Yeah.
hands. And here I am, like still trying to work, pay all my bills, pay my car, for my car and just everything. And I had to stop working, went on disability. My disability
Yeah.
ran out. And so then it was like, oh my God, now what? So I'm living for a couple of years off of like the savings that I had.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, but the mortgage is still like due on the first and the bills are still
Right.
due. So I went through all of that and a lot of medical bills and co-pays, and it's like, oh my God, this is so
Oh, horrible.
expensive. So I ended up, before getting into a scary moment of like losing my house, I ended up
Yeah.
selling my house. So
That's,
I took and my son was also in private school. I found the best school for him, and I don't know if you've ever faced this or any other parent has ever faced it, where you have to make a change. It's like for you, because like you want to be able to provide for your child and
yeah.
there's no other option. And so I had to make a change and I had to make a decision quick because I didn't want to lose my house and have,
Right.
worst credit ever. So I told him one day after school, I'm not going to cry, but it's just so heartbreaking. I said, we have to move. And he was like, what do you mean? I was like, we have to leave. And he was like, I have to leave my room and my toys, and I have to leave my friends at school. And his face, Julie, I swear to God, ugh, I will remember this to the day that I die, because your heart
I
comes
know.
literally out of you. And so I'm saying all this to say the guilt that you feel. And over the years, I apologize and apologize. And I'm like, I'm sorry I haven't given you all that you had before, or, that you need. He was like, what are you talking about? I have everything. I have
Right. That's the thing. And you know what? Like, they're still going to haunt us. All of those days, I'm proud of the book and I'm really happy that that's how he sees it. But those days are still sad to me.
everything.
So I still see the behind the scenes is what's in my head and my heart, the guilt, and that all of those days were bad days for me. But I think the book is a reminder for me that he doesn't see it that way. So when I'm having a bad day, like a new symptom, I walked up the hill and this was when it was a little bit colder, and I didn't realize my legs don't work if my feet are cold. And just because when am I walking barefoot in Brooklyn? But here you're in Colorado, you can walk around with your feet out.
Yeah.
But I sat down, I was like, go get dad. And I had so much guilt and just like felt defeated. And he was just like, let's slide down the hill together. And he was like, train day, and just turned it around. And I think that, it's just great the way they don't see our shortcomings. They see love. And we are never short on that. That's for sure.
Yeah.
That's all they need. And, if you look back at your childhood, you don't remember all the little, even if you do remember the things that your parents kind of maybe didn't do exactly how you hoped, that's not what made you who you are. And that's not what like really that makes you love your parents and appreciate what they did.
Yeah.
Because those little sacrifice, downsizing to make sure that he has a home that you can maintain, and that's providing him for life. That's different than starting out in debt and like all those things that you'd have to, and stress. And that would have been far worse than you just making the right decision and then him having a new room and all of his toys can come,
Right. Yeah. It haunts me. Like you said, it does. It bothers me. Even talking about it now, it's like oof, it's like a sword that's sticking me,
Oh, I know.
because I feel like I'm not doing enough, and yeah, I feel like I'm not doing enough. And from what you described about the book, it's like such beauty came from such a horrible, ugly, dark place, MS. That's what
Yeah.
I'm saying. MS is
Yeah.
this dark, and this fantastic acknowledgement of love and compassion and appreciation just for like mother and son relationship, that whole dynamic. Like that's what I got from it, and
Thank you.
it's more than just like the word, words, simplistic words for a child on paper. It speaks volumes to me and to others. I know other people have to feel the same way, really,
Thank you.
because you
Yeah.
take,
I
oh, go
really,
ahead.
I appreciate like when I did a reading for seniors at the local library here, and I love the feedback because they don't see it because they don't have it, but it's good even if you have grandchildren. And our
Yeah.
children are more empathetic than any other children in the universe because they read the room, they notice what's going on, they can see the little things, they can see that our faces look tiny, different.
Yeah.
The other day he was just like, I tripped and I fell and I was upset. And he was like, are you frustrated? And do you need a hug? And like, he understood. And I was like, okay, I'm like embarrassed. And he was like going through the emotions. Like, are you embarrassed? I was like, yes, I feel all of those things. But then like at the end, we're laughing because he's a 5-year-old
Yeah.
like counseling me as I'm like crying because of the trip.
Yeah. Oh, but you're teaching him. That's so, like, if we can be grateful for MS, like I'm grateful to be able to teach a human being that's going to like be an adult to go out in the world and like be able to communicate those feelings and that frustration and understand it and have compassion. Like,
I
that's so
know.
beautiful to me.
And embrace it. Like I remind him all the time, it's okay to, if you see someone that you have a question about, if there's something that I'd much rather someone walk up to me and be like, why are you limping today? Or, like ask me a question. I'm happy to tell you about it. But, I try to remind him that everyone, even if you look perfect on the outside, you can have something wrong with you. Like his father has epilepsy. It's like,
Yeah.
dad has epilepsy. It's just something that you can't necessarily tell and people don't know, but that's why you're kind to everyone because you don't know what's going on behind that. You'd be perfect, but there's always something, sometimes you may not feel so good. And when I look at you, I can't tell. So it's up to you to use your words and tell me what's going on.
Absolutely. I mean, another full transparency moment, for weeks, months since I ended the collaboration of the other podcast, I have been going through this, like, I don't know, mild depression, but everybody
Yep.
else is looking at me like, oh, she's still smiling. She's still cooking. She's still like doing everything, whatever. I'm miserable. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like for me, like on the inside, because I'm having all these MS emotions, like I'm not doing
Yeah.
enough. I'm not doing this. I should be here. I should be there. I should be doing this. I thought I was going to do that, but I'm not. And, I put that burden on myself, but, I'm dealing with it in therapy.
Yeah. But also like you had a lot of trust in someone. So taking aside all of the feeling like you're doing less, you put so much into something and you were screwed over. And that's going to impact you. And it's going to slow you down from taking on new things because you're going to always be a little in the back of your mind, knowing that someone that you trusted. Anyone that breaks that trust, it really has an impact on you in everything that you do. Because you're going to have apprehension with everyone that you talk to, everyone that you have a project or collaboration with, you're going to remember what you've been through. So
And
I think,
emotional, I'm sorry, go ahead. Mhm.
no, I think allow yourself to feel all those feelings and just remember that you're not at fault and forgive. You holding on to it, just forget it. Not worth it.
Yeah.
Not worth it. And just know that like every time I see your face, I smile because I know you're a great person. So just remember that like you're changing, even though you might feel like, I smile all the time too. And I have like severe anxiety.
Yeah.
So I think it's important to remember that, you're making a difference in my life, and hopefully I'll make a difference in yours.
Absolutely. The inspiration is certainly mutual. I would think, and like I get fuel from you and from Brooke and Damien and others in the community. It's incredible how, we've never like physically met, but
I know.
I feel like I know you all. I would tell you my whole life story,
Yeah, me too. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. But
Yeah, we have to coordinate getting together, all of us, one day.
Sure, we do. Absolutely. Like a nice meeting place. Denver would be great. That's like in the middle.
I know. I was like, oh, it's right in the middle. Come
Yeah.
here.
Oh yeah. But yeah, I mean, the emotional pain from that is hard. And, in addition to like dealing with all the MS things and, and so I was telling you before we like hit record, I started a candle business. So, something ugly turned into something beautiful. So I put my fuel into something else that was creative, and hopefully it'll be, not hopefully, I'm going to speak it into existence. It will be,
It will be.
useful and beautiful to people.
It's beautiful. I got a sneak preview, and I am very excited to place my order. So I can't wait. It's absolutely beautiful.
Yeah, thank you. But
I'm glad, you know what? It's good. You're starting something new, and I know that's scary. And I know you don't know where it's going to go, but I truly believe you're going to be successful.
Yeah, I hope so. So yeah, all I can do. My mother always says, all you can do is try. And if you don't try, then that's where your failure is, because you failed to try, So
yeah, she's right.
Yeah. So, but I wanted to ask you this because I had this, Jenna, right? Jenna Green.
Mm-hmm.
So I was talking to Jenna, and I said, Jenna, I have such a small circle now, after MS, you kind of get to see who's around, who's not, who's sticking, like that,
Yeah.
that little thing that you get from a vending machine, you throw it on the wall and it sticks, you wonder which one's going to stick, And so, I started to think about the circle that I have, and my little small circles, like my mom, my dad, my brother, my son, of course, and then like a couple of friends that, my MS friends, and just like a few that I've grown up with and just that know me. So super small circle. And I started to think about like people and what they're doing with their lives. And I started like having these weird thoughts, like, well, at 42 and 43, my mom was doing this, and and at 35, my dad was doing that, and like I was comparing myself, and at whatever age, Sarah was doing this or whatever, and it's like, what am I doing? Here I am. And I think that I have this feeling of like disappointing others because I'm not doing. And then I wonder, do they have an expectation of me doing? And I asked my mom this, and she's like, no, I understand that you have MS. I'm like, but Mom, I don't know if you do. Do you ever think that others like that don't have MS is kind of like on the outside looking in, have an expectation of you doing?
Yeah, all the time. And I think it's never, a lot of stuff that I do is on a volunteer basis, and that doesn't hold value to a lot of people. And I always find that funny because I work harder than I've ever worked in my life now. Ever. Like it's nonstop, but sometimes it's not validated from others. And I think it takes me being proud at night of what I've done for the day, and knowing that I've left a footprint is really important to me. But it is hard to compare because you're constantly like, oh, well, they're doing this. And then the reality is we work harder because we're always trying to overcompensate, always, to try and prove that we still have worth. And then that, to our detriment, because we put value on this, but we are working so hard. Dawn, like the amount of meetings that you and I go to, or, calls that we're on together, and ambassador programs and things that we do, that is work. We are working. And it doesn't matter. To me, the money isn't the thing. That's not what holds value.
Right.
And I think when people, I can't remember the saying, but there's a saying like, if you want someone to work, give them something that they would do for free. And this is what we're choosing to do. And I think our moments are mattering. And I don't want to ever go back to the person that I was before MS. Even when I was my healthiest, I don't want to be her. I like me now. I like who I've become and what I'm creating. I'm working on my second book. I'm writing blogs, and I'm really excited about the feedback and the people that I'm helping, and normalizing this. So I think just be proud, and don't compare yourself to anyone else, because remember, you're only seeing what they want you to see. So it's not, people that work at 9 to 5 aren't working harder than you. We're allocating our time very differently.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, I needed that because I struggle. Honestly, I struggle with the worth word, because sometimes I don't feel like, I'm like, what's my value? I look at my bank account and it's like, oh my God, how did I get here? How did I get here? And why am I feeling like that defines me? Why does that define? Why am I feeling like that?
Yeah.
I
And
think
that's the thing. It's not worth it. It's like, live a modest life. I've never cared. So I never cared about cars or houses. Like, it's just never been important to me. Like, I went to Arc, the thrift store over here, and I spent $31. I got a whole new summer wardrobe yesterday.
love it.
I don't put value on that. What's more important to me is, like, I have an amazing son and a partner that love me, and they're here for me, and that we're going to have an amazing summer together. And, none of the, when I see someone driving $100,000 car, which I can't even recognize, Adam tells me they're expensive. They're compensating for something. They care about what other people think. It's not that they need that. It's that they care how they look to other people. When you buy a house that has 17 bedrooms because you need to show that you can afford it, that's not impressive to me. To me, it looks dumb. Like, live within your means. You don't have to, I just, not even within your means, just live a modest life, because I don't need a million things. I have a very minimalist home, uncluttered mind, and it keeps me sane. And, I think it's good for the environment too, even down to my son's toys. We're on message boards and we exchange toys. When he's done with one, you post it and then you pick it up. But, for the first 4 years of his life, we were able to, like, trick him on the dates because he didn't know how to read a calendar. So, like, Valentine's Day would be 2 days after Valentine's Day, because we'd get everything at CVS half price.
Yeah.
It's just all those little, to me, the money doesn't make something. And I got hired to write and compensated very well for something. And I would have written it without compensation.
Right.
Without a doubt, I would have no issue doing it without compensation, because I appreciate the feedback that I get.
Yeah.
I also do appreciate when someone sees value in my work. So I do appreciate getting compensated.
For sure.
It doesn't change the fact that I feel motivated to do it.
Right. It's not the financial, the financial end is not your, like, main focus and why you do
Not my
it.
drive.
Right.
Yeah, that's not my drive at all.
That's why I loved the podcast that I did, the previous podcast. And I still love this world, because I didn't get into all that we do as patient advocates for money, like at nothing. I never thought about, I'm going to be, getting money from that pharmaceutical company or this company or what. It's like, no, or even notoriety or recognition. Like, I just wanted to talk to other MS patients and help other people who have MS or who want to learn more. That's why I'm here,
Right.
Yeah.
And it's rewarding it's helpful, because I do the peer-to-peer with the MS Society. So, like, people that are newly diagnosed, and we have a support group. But it's rewarding knowing that, because you remember the beginning, how terrifying it is, and, like, figuring all that out, all the questions that you have for the doctor, but they only have 15 minutes to talk to you. That's what we do. That's the whole point. It's like, I can talk to you about a symptom and you can be like, oh yeah, that's totally, like, it's different. We have more time for each other.
Right.
Not because the doctors don't care, but just because they don't have as much time as we do. So we have more time to support each other. So whenever we have a support group, I go to bed that night and I'm proud that, like, I do it with 2 other girls. we help someone through that beginning journey and they don't feel alone. They know that they have on call a resource that they can just email, and it might take a day or two for us to get back to you, but we all have different courses of the disease. But I just don't want newly diagnosed to feel the way I felt and to like go down the Google rabbit hole, because that's the worst case scenarios. Like, you need to see positive people. And that's why you're such a voice in it, because people see you as positive. They see, and you're very honest with your stories. And I think that people can see that you're authentic. And when you meet someone that isn't, I was following one, I'm not going to name who it is, but I was following one and I was just like, I don't enjoy her content. I think she's like, I don't appreciate how she's portraying MS.
Yeah.
So I just unfollowed, she unfollowed me back, and that's fine. Like, okay. Like, I'm not going to, if it doesn't spark joy,
Yeah.
so, like, I mean, I think we all have our own way of how we want this disease seen in the world.
Yeah.
And I think, being around like-minded, like you, Damien, Brooke, all those people, my friend Anne-Marie, Hannah, that's what we want to see. If we see someone doing it differently, then, that's when we're like, okay, we're going to step it up and change it a bit.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you so much, Julie. Before I go, I'm plugging your book again. I'm telling everybody. I told my mom, I was like, Mom, you have to tell everybody, because she works in the hospital. I'm like, everybody, every patient you have, every MS patient, please give this book to them.
Well, thank you. And then they can get it at libraries. They don't have to buy it. So
That's
you can
awesome.
you can go to your local library, and if they don't have it, just request it. It's in the system, so they can get it.
And then I'll show my candle. I'm not going to like sell it here, but yeah, I have this candle, and on the top, I love this. My friend, he's such an amazing person. He designed all of this for me, helped me design it. Softly focus on what brings you strength and joy, and always remember to breathe. That was like my mantra. It's hard to see, but this was my mantra. Like when I was first diagnosed, like, just breathe, Dawn, just breathe. Everything's going to be okay, So
show the tray. The tray is really nice.
The tray. Yeah. And all my
I love it.
The little kits.
I know, that's awesome.
Remember to breathe in like a million languages, a lot of different languages, but yeah.
I love that.
Yeah. So it's
I can't wait till it's out and ready to go.
Thank you. But before we go, like 30 seconds, I guess. What's one thing that made you happy today?
Well, my son hugged me and grabbed my face, and I really like his little chubby hands. That was really, I didn't like that he woke up early, but yeah, so far. And I'm going to be in Self magazine, so they're doing a feature, so that made me happy. So I just read the article that they wrote, so that was fun. That was a good one.
That's so fantastic. I love it. I love it. It's showing that we are strong and we can kick some ass with this disease.
We're doing it.
I love it.
We are. Yeah. Stand by, because I have a lot of articles coming out. So
good. Yeah. I'm so happy. Well, one thing that made me happy is like talking to you for sure, and like being able to make a smoothie today. That made me happy.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah. I could. Oh, and I did
started the day out right.
Yes. Yes.
I have the load in there. I didn't switch it over yet.
Hey,
halfway there.
It's halfway there. So
yeah.
But I asked this question because I think we have to find some type of joy in the day, because next 5 minutes could be like totally shitty for us. And so like, I want to always remember, like, and go back to what you said, like what made you happy. And so you talking about your son, like, oh my God, that made her happy. That's what made me happy too. I like that. You know what I mean? So yeah. We feed off of each other.
Definitely. It's good to be happy. And all the leaves are finally coming on the trees, which is really making me happy too.
Me too. Like, yes, come spring, let's go. We got
it.
Let's do it. We're ready.
I can't wait. We are ready. I love talking to you, Dawn.
Yeah, I love talking to you too. Thank you. You are such a light.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Oh, you too. Anytime you want to talk, I'm around. So online or offline or whatever, I'm always here for you.
Thank you. This feeling is mutual. So
And hug your son for me.
yeah, yours too. His little chubby hands. I love it. Yeah.
Oh, they're so sweet. It's just ridiculous.
Okay, well, thanks. And
All
I'll
right.
be back with more video.
Yay, and I'll be watching. Thank you, Dawn. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.